This episode is sponsored by Where Jesus Is, a Black-owned business that strives to uplift Black America, ending human suffering among the oppressed in the United States, as well as globally providing jobs, scholarships, project funding, feeding the hungry, mentorship programs, and so much more. Their slogan is Make Him Known, with the objective to help others enjoy life with Christ and an abundant life here on earth by bringing Jesus back into the conversation. To purchase a t-shirt for $25 to support both their cause and this podcast, DM me at First Basel on Twitter, at first_Basel on Instagram, or just send an email to hola@firstbasel.com for more information. That's HOLA at firstbasel.com. You're listening to First Basel. Because sometimes you simply need someone to help you take that first paso. Hello and welcome to First Paso, a show where we learn together how to take that first paso toward becoming the best versions of ourselves. My name is Candace Olusola, and today I have a very special guest with me. He is someone that I've known for going on 3 years now, and he was actually one of my pastors at church, and we've become really close friends. We're pretty much siblings at this point, and I think that he has a really good story to tell that I think would help out most of you guys listening. So without further ado, here is my friend and brother, Brian Baños. Hey, Brian.
What's going on, Candace?
Not much, just quarantining, staying at home.
Yeah.
All day. Every day.
Yeah. But I find myself eating a lot more than my wife likes me to eat. So
yeah. Me and the refrigerator, we're becoming more acquainted during the quarantine. So it's nice. I have to find boundaries, but it's still good, you know.
Yeah.
I stay fed.
Well, I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, thank you so much for being willing to do this with me. Let's jump right into the interview, okay? So, why don't you tell the gente about yourself before we get started?
So my name is Brian Baños, and you heard that right. It's Baños. Last name is related to the restroom, but on the clean part of the restroom, shower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Shower.
So I'm a second generation Hispanic from Miami. So I'm a hybrid of sorts where I speak English and I speak some Spanish. I can understand all Spanish, but I can't speak it too well. But my wife, she speaks it perfectly. She was born in Cuba, so that's good. And we have a 14-year-old daughter named Gabby. My wife's name is Anna, and we have two cats. One tiger. And the other one's name is Kroger because my wife found him at Kroger, the supermarket. So yeah, that's us. And right now we're just living up here in northern Kentucky. This is where I pastor, and I pastor at a church in the Taylor Mill, Kentucky region. We're about 15 minutes from Cincinnati, so we're right here in Kentucky, about 15 minutes from the border of Ohio. So here we are.
Nice. Cool. So can you tell us a time when you took your first paso into something, out of something, towards something, and, you know, when did that happen? And what transpired?
Yeah, so growing up, I think the first paso was one of the many first pasos I've taken was when I decided to go to culinary school. And that's where I met my wife. Met her in culinary school, but before, and that was really the change where the trajectory of my life began to change.
Yeah.
Where I had grown up, I grew up in Miami. I grew up in Dade County, and where I grew up wasn't the best of areas. We would refer to that as the hood.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in this place where, yeah, there was always something happening. There was drugs all around us. I got into it myself, doing it and selling it.
Mm.
There was gangs, and it just was not a good area to be brought up in. And that was just my life. I kind of thought that I was going to be relegated to that kind of life just for the rest of my life, because usually people that are born into that, they kind of stay there, right?
Yeah.
Just because it becomes normal for you.
Right.
And I remember when I was 15 or 16 years old, and I remember lying down on the bed, putting my hands in the back of my head, and just looking up at the ceiling, and just tears streaming down my face. And I was like, I'm never getting out of this.
Wow.
I'm always gonna be in this. I'm always gonna be around drugs. I'm always gonna be around fighting. I'm always gonna be around this stuff. I'm never gonna come out of this. I'm always gonna be poor.
Wow.
We were fortunate in some ways, but in many ways we were there was still a lot of lack.
Yeah.
There was some days where we just had bread and milk and some sugar and butter, and that was it. you know and so I just kept thinking to myself, and I remember that night I was just crying, like, I'm never going to get out of this. This is what I'm always going to be, so I might as well just get used to it. you know and I had thought like that for quite some time. 3, 4, 5 years later, things began to change.
Hmm.
And if it's one thing that I've learned, I didn't know this then, but I know this now. And if it's one thing I know about changes, is that change is painful. It's extremely painful.
Yeah.
Learning can be painful. Change is painful. But I've also learned that you don't change. People don't change unless the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the pain of changing.
Wow. 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 Wow.
And so I finally got to that point later on in my life.
Yeah.
And I realized I'm sick and tired of this. I'm sick and tired of crying about it. I'm sick and tired of being in this. I want something different for my life. I want something different for my future family.
Yeah.
I want something different. I don't want my legacy to be this.
Yeah.
And that's when the pain of staying the same became so much greater than the pain of changing, that I was willing to go and do whatever. And so I enrolled in culinary school because that was a dream of mine.
Yeah.
And that was, for me, that was a paso. That was a step for me to take into moving into a different area of my life. And culinary school, in a lot of ways, it got me away from all of that. Not everything had changed in me, but it was certainly a good first step. In fact, this is where I met my wife, Anna. And then from there, the rest is history.
So you were about 20 years old? Am I picking that up when you started that?
Yeah. So it was in 2004 when I met her. I'm 36 now, so I don't know. Do the math. So probably around there. Yeah, I would say around there.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So what was going on with you at that time when you took your first paso? You went to Culinary Art School. So what was that change? So you had that moment of really being like, I have to change. You go into Culinary Art School. What transpired during Culinary Art School that was really transforming for you?
I think, for me, there was something that I was working towards. Before, I had nothing that I was working towards. It was just no purpose, no goal in life. And for me, I had always enjoyed cooking. I had always wanted to be a chef. It was just something that I had always wanted, but just was like, well, that's out of my reach. I could never do that. But that was, of course, a lie that was being told to me, and that I was really telling to myself. But the biggest thing that happened to me in culinary school was focus. Being focused on something for the first time in my life ever. Being focused on an end goal, something that I can work towards. Because I had nothing I was working towards, and that was the first thing was getting through school, because I had dropped out of high school. I was a high school dropout. I mean, I dropped out of my junior year. I had really only attended up to my freshman year, but I just kind of skated by and always skipped school, and the teachers and administration gave me passes. And finally, in my junior year, I was just like, whatever, and I dropped out.
Yeah.
which was a dumb decision. I kind of regret that all the time. I wish I could have, had a high school experience, but I didn't. But this was the first time in my life that I was actually working towards something, and I knew that it was actually achievable because I had convinced myself that no, I'm not a loser. No, I'm not going to stay in this forever. No, I can actually change my future. I can take a step forward and make something happen.
Mm.
So really what I found in culinary school is I found a lot of purpose. Now, the purpose that I had, my purpose has completely changed now.
Mm.
But the purpose that I had was to be a great chef, to be a skilled chef, not to be better than anybody else, but simply to be better than my previous self.
Mm.
And to be a skilled chef, to work in fine dining restaurants, to one day open up a fine dining restaurant, one day to work towards earning one of the highest accolades in the culinary world, and that is your restaurant being deemed a 3 Michelin star restaurant.
Wow.
And that was my goal.
Yeah.
That was my goal. That's what I was working towards, and I would have done anything to get it.
Mm.
So I had something. But that paso, that step, it actually led me to another step. But yeah, so I found purpose there. I found purpose.
Wow. So all of this happened between a decision at 15, or like going through things at 15 and realizing like I need to change 5 years later, and going into culinary art school, going after your goals, meeting your wife there.
Mm-hmm.
How did all of that affect where you are today?
Well, it gave me that first step. That's the biggest thing. It just gave me that first step outside of the world that I was in.
Yeah.
It was the key for me, or that I believe that God had given me. It was a key for me to get out of where I was.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel trapped anymore.
Mm.
I felt free. I felt like, wow, I can do something, that I'm not a loser. I do have a purpose I can work towards. I actually am capable of having a purpose I can work towards, whereas before I never thought so. But then, as I started working, and as I started becoming more skilled as a chef, as I was working towards that, there were things in my life though that started taking the back seat. Things that were probably more important than the purpose I had, or that I had built up in my mind. So that purpose was good for a season. It was good for a short amount of time, right?
Okay. Yeah.
That step was made to get me through a season, but I didn't progress from that step. That step was just this one step, this one goal that I was going to achieve, and that was to become a skilled chef. That I really loved cooking, skilled chef, and to become a 3 Michelin star chef restaurant. That consumed me. The step that got me out of the hood, if we can say it that way.
Yeah.
That got me out of the hood, out of the ghetto, out of that kind of lifestyle, is the step that was actually making me take steps backward now. Because now my marriage was suffering. My daughter, I didn't experience any of her first year milestones, barely.
Yeah.
I was working 17, 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I didn't care. I was okay with that. In fact, I thrived on it. I loved the rush.
Wow.
And that was the thing that got me out of the hood and got me out of that prison that I was in.
Wow.
Simply because I wanted to have a better legacy. I wanted to have a better purpose. I wanted to have something that was going to make me a better husband and father. Was actually the thing that's making me a poor husband and father now.
Wow.
One thing led to another, and I was able to work for good places. I was able to work in good positions. I was able to get offered good jobs and actually work for some top chefs in here in this country, and get really good at my craft.
Yeah.
But I was not a good husband. I was not a good father.
Yeah.
I was not a good friend.
Yeah.
I don't think I was a poor human being, but I was just kind of there, mediocre, kind of like just in this human being that just, I don't know. I felt like I had purpose, but in reality, there was no purpose.
That's so interesting that, we take these opportunities for something to better ourselves, and if we don't catch ourselves, we could easily turn what could have been a very, holistically positive experience, it could go sour, and we not realize it until we're way down the road and we go, whoa, how did I get here?
Yeah.
I need to reassess, because things have been going on that I've missed. There's things that I've let go by, and it almost makes you, I don't know if it makes you question your decision, or if it's like, man, how could I have made this a healthier option, and would that have affected my goals? Would it have delayed my goals? Would it have, what would the sacrifice have been had I done this in a more intentional manner, focusing on the different areas of life that should have all been important on my plate, all of the priorities I should have laid out, versus just going after this one goal and not thinking of the other things that would have affected it. So
I think too, that we often have two different types of desires. We have two different types of values. A value is something that you actually live out. Okay, a value is something that you live out, but a desired value is something that you desire but haven't yet lived out.
Yeah.
So for me, I thought my value was my family. In fact, I didn't have my family at the time, but that my family of the future. That was my motivation for wanting to get out of my previous situation.
Right.
But I did not realize that was a desired value, not a true value, but a desired value, until I started putting my purpose and my goals over my family.
Yeah.
And I stuck to the thing that got me out of my situation, and I put that priority. I put that over God. I put that over my wife and my kid. And now I realize that was never a value that I had. It was a desired value, but it was not a core value, because I wasn't living it out.
Yeah.
And so that's when I had to take a step back and say, okay, my family's suffering, I'm suffering.
Yeah.
I remember taking the next step, the next possible. And I remember being in the restaurant, and this was a restaurant that I wanted to work in for a chef that I always wanted to work for. And I was where I wanted to be, where I needed to be to get my skill level to the next level, to level up.
Yeah.
And I remember being there and working all those hours. And I remember the chef. I mean, in the restaurant, in those kind of restaurants, you don't get treated the best sometimes.
Yeah.
And I remember I got a thick skin. I could take people cussing me out. I've been told every name of the book, and been, told, yeah, my grandmother can cook better than you. That's all that is just negative reinforcement trying to motivate you.
Right.
But I remember the chef kind of leaning into my face and just yelling at me. And he had done that before, and that's fine with me. I didn't have a problem with that now, because I was just going to get better.
Right.
But I remember thinking to myself, and it was the only time and the last time this thought came into my mind, what if this chef was yelling at me? What if my wife and my daughter were standing here in front of me? Would he still be yelling at me and treating me like pure garbage? And then when I asked that question, I asked another question. Wait a minute. What am I doing this all for?
Wow.
And immediately he finished talking to me. I finished my shift. And the next morning, I didn't walk into work.
Wow.
I never showed up to work again.
Wow.
And I had never done that before.
Wow.
And I thought, and this was a move that we had made, this move to go work for this fine dining establishment that one of the top chefs in the world. And I had left my house. I had left a possible sous chef position, making $70,000 a year. I had left another opportunity because I said, no, I'm just going to go down to South Florida and work for this chef. And they offered me one last thing. They said, hey, we'll give you your own restaurant, and we'll put your name on the menu, and you're the chef, and you come up with everything, and they were going to pay me good money. And I said, no, I just want to make peanuts and get more experience. I had left everything behind to go work there. And here I am walking off, almost not even showing back up to work.
Wow.
Because here's the thing, Candace. I think this is something that we all need to think about, and it's not just because it's happened to me, but I think that we all come to the question: what am I working towards? What is this all for?
Right. Purpose.
So I asked myself the question: if I do get those 3 Michelin stars, and I do become one of the most skilled chefs in the world, which I didn't really think would happen anyways. Maybe a 3 Michelin star, but there's always somebody more skilled than you.
Yeah.
But even if I do get 3 Michelin stars and achieve the pinnacle of chef greatness, if
Yeah.
you will,
Yeah.
then what? What next?
Yeah.
It's just maintenance from that point on.
Right.
That's all it is, because you can't get any more stars. You can lose them, but you can't gain any more.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, what is next? If my whole purpose in life is earning Michelin stars and becoming a well-renowned restaurant where I can charge whatever amount of money I want because people will actually pay for it.
Right.
And I get to that pinnacle, even if I get all the money that I want, what next?
Right.
What else am I hunting after? What's the hunt? There's no hunt. There's nothing to hunt. There's nothing else to go for. There's no purpose. And let me tell you something. When somebody feels like they have no purpose, it's one of the darkest places that you could ever be.
Wow.
And that's exactly what happened to me when he was talking to me. When that chef was yelling in my ear, I asked, if my wife and my kid were here, what would they say? And then I asked the next question, what is this all for?
Yeah.
All in a split second, I thought all of that. I've invested so much time and energy in all of this. And at the end of the day, for what?
Yeah.
And so that was a really dark time for me. Because I had no purpose, I had no direction. Now it was back to square one. I felt like I was back in prison again. No direction, no purpose.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what helped shape how and why I've moved into the current season that I'm in right now. In fact, there was other small, but I can leave that for another time. But it's helped to formulate how I live my life now, and how I forecast and think about the future in a way that helps me to maintain a positive and perpetual sense of purpose.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, well, let me get to this end goal and then that's it. So that's tough, man. That was tough.
Yeah. But it's amazing that you saw it, and you saw it when you saw it. You could have gone way further down that road, and Gabby could be much older and be like, well, my dad's always at a restaurant, I never see him. Or Anna can, I don't see my husband, he's always at this restaurant, it's whatever. And it would have gotten to a point where you felt like, I really don't even have I've gone beyond the point of return, and but the timing in which you realized it was probably very crucial for you, because it was still in the beginning stages of having that family that you wanted to really cherish and desire and take care of and support. And it's done you well. That crucial moment in your story was so important for where you are today. And I'm assuming you probably wouldn't have traded the journey after that for the world, because it's at least the contrast is probably what I'm going at. The contrast from where you were then to where you are now. Was there something you wish you had done differently to get here to this point now? Or
yeah, I think so, because there were not just a lot of tears on my end, but there was a lot of tears on my wife's end too.
Yeah.
She's left to raise the baby on her own, and her family we were living around her family, so they were a big help for her.
Yeah.
So while the journey was a very good learning experience, I think I could have learned the same lessons even still had I had a different approach with my wife, and maybe, who knows, maybe I would have still been in the culinary world if I didn't put that first. I don't know. I'm glad that I'm not. I'm glad that I'm where I'm at.
Yeah.
But I do think that just instead of making my family a desired value, the biggest change I would have made is making it truly a core value by living it out truly, not just saying in some kind of philosophical way that I'm providing for my family, I'm putting food on the table, and I'm a good husband and I'm a good father. Because no, that's not what a good father and a good husband only does. A good father and a good husband is there. A good father and a good husband is there to experience life and to build history together.
Yeah.
What history are you building together if you're not around?
Yeah.
Even if you're providing food and putting it on the table, you've not. This is why couples last so long. This is your most successful couples in this world. They last so long is because they have built this intimate history together that they can just retrieve and recall from their memory bank at any time.
Yeah.
So that's what helps you to fall in love with people. It's not just this emotion, this infatuating emotion. No, it is a history of life interconnected with another person's life.
Yeah.
And that's something that was missing. That was something that was missing in my family, and really I was the cause of that.
Yeah.
Because ask my aspirations, but I think God really put me in check. Kind of chucked me a little bit, and
he does that a lot. He's really good at
that. Yeah, man. So yeah, that was. But anytime that we make a next step, I think it's always difficult because it's the unknown. We're taking a step into the unknown.
Right.
So the initial step is a difficult step, but it's always a doable step. We just convince ourselves that it's not doable.
Right.
But once we do take that step, we have to make sure that that's not the only paso that we take.
Yeah.
Because if it's the only paso that we take, then everything else in our life crumbles.
Yeah.
We have to be able to look at that step and say, wow, for how long and for how long and how good is this step during this season? Right. I look at steps in terms of seasons. You know what I mean? And sometimes there's multiple steps that are taken in a particular season in your life.
Yeah.
But not all the time a step taken in one season in your life needs to be the same step that you stay on for the rest of your life.
Right. There's got to be growth.
There's got to be some kind of growth. There's got to be development. I think God opens up doors for seasons, and those doors at some point have to close.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long God wants those doors to stay open? That's up to Him. But we have to have our ears open to be able to listen to that.
Right.
But at some point, we have to be able to progress and get better from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And not hold on to those things. I held on to being a chef as the only purpose in my life. Why? So I can make people fat and happy in their tummy? No, I don't know. And that's not to say anything bad about people who are studying culinary arts, because in fact, people who do study culinary arts, I think they're getting into a wonderful profession.
Yeah.
They're just going to have to be able to manage their time well and be able to stand firm on their boundaries.
Yeah.
So, but anyways.
Yeah, I think that especially even outside of the culinary arts, I think we live in a season of time where the hustle is such a huge push.
Bro, we live in America, of course.
Yeah, everyone's they're trying to level up. They're trying to, go after something, and you have all these gurus who tell you, cut out everybody and don't do this, and, just go after your goal, and that's what's most important. They can't follow you where you're going, and, you still have to stop and say, but is the hustle and achieving all of this amazingness that's on my list of things to achieve, what is it going to amount to if I've destroyed the relationships that mean the most to me along the way, that people can't see me because I'm constantly gone or I'm constantly working. I don't give anyone time. I don't give family time. I don't give friends time. Is it even worth it? Are you genuinely happy? Can you sit at the end of the day and be like, am I genuinely happy? You know, that
Yep.
I always say that that's the difference between estoy feliz and soy feliz.
Mhm.
You know, and so hard to explain in English, but you know, being happy right now versus your state of being happy, they're
Yes.
so different. And if you've gone after this goal and at the end of the day you're just estoy feliz, like who cares? You know, like you go home, you're by yourself, your family can't talk to you, they don't want to talk to you, they don't know you well enough to even be comfortable to hold a conversation with you. You still have to go like, yeah, you know, I did what I was
Mhm.
supposed to. I checked off all the dad boxes, or I checked off all the mom boxes, the sibling boxes, whatever. But the in between the line, the all between all of the check boxes, there's what you said, the intimacy, the things that aren't, they take an you have to take an extra step beyond the check boxes to make it actually
Mhm.
work, because anyone can check off the boxes, literally anybody. It's just, did I pay the
Yeah.
mortgage? Check. That
Yeah.
doesn't take any relational requirements, you know.
Yeah.
And you know,
I mean, at the end of the day, people are more important than the hustle.
mm-hmm,
We have to be able to 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 see that, that our family, our spouses, our kids, our friends, even our coworkers, right?
right,
They are more important than the hustle.
yeah,
They're more important than the goals. They're more important than all of that. Main look, when we talk about what legacy do we want to leave behind, do you want to leave behind a legacy? Well, this was the best chef in the world. Or maybe this was this person had, the most money. This person had this car. This person had this huge house. Or what kind of legacy? And this person played the best music. What kind of legacy are we leaving behind? Do we want to leave behind a legacy that says, man, you know what? This person was willing to drop Brian, Candace. They were willing to drop anything to help me if I needed it.
mm,
They were willing to show me love. They were willing to be real and authentic and show me what a true human being is,
yeah,
what a human being was intended to be, in spite of their own hustle.
right,
You know, and it's like, I think that is the most important thing. And I get it. Some people may think to themselves, well, there's people getting in the way of my hustle. There's people getting in the way of my dreams, of my goals, and whatever. Well, maybe, but at the end of the day, the biggest goal should be, are people going to remember you as a loving human being?
yeah,
Are they going to remember you as a self-sacrificial human being?
yeah,
Are they going to remember you as somebody offered who offered love to them on an exponential level? You know, and that's what this world needs right now.
yeah,
That is the ultimate
hmm,
goal of anything. This in spite of career, in spite of, I mean, look, my next level up, my next level I want to get to is I want to get a PhD. I was just talking to my wife right now before I came over here, and I was talking to her about wanting to do a PhD in organizational leadership,
ooh,
organizational development.
yes,
Um, and so, yeah, absolutely, I want to get to that next level.
yeah,
Um, but that next level should never supersede my family, should never supersede people, should never supersede my friends, should never supersede me being a loving human being.
yeah,
And I think the next step, is always, how can I be more loving to people, even more loving to the people who are maybe in our lives quite unlovable,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
um,
yeah,
that's a tough one.
yeah,
But there you go, there's a goal to work towards,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
So, what would be, for someone who is listening to this and they're in that stage where you realized I've really got the change, or even maybe before that stage where they maybe don't see a way out, or they don't see a need to change because no one else around them is changing, so they might as well stay where they are. What would you say to people who are trying to get out of their ghetto, their hood situation, whether it's like an actual like ghetto, or if it's just a situation where they realize I don't want to stay here and
mhm.
I want to get out of this. What would be your best advice from your experience for them based on the positives and negatives that you took away from your first basso?
Practically, I would say know what you want to change to, right? Like know what the implications of your desired change is, and see if you truly want that type of change. And if you don't, then think about something else that you want to change to. And then when you figure that out, we're not talking about what you ultimately want to become. We're talking about taking the next step into the next season of your life.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, it was, I want to get out of the hood. I want to stop being selfish. I want to stop being this, that, whatever. And I want to be a better person. I want to start being a better husband and father before I even know my family is. That was for me. And after you figure that out, be like Nike and just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's it. I mean, there's no thinking about it. Don't over plan either. You want to plan things, but you don't want to over plan, because if you over plan, you're never going to do anything. Just do it. But always know that that is not the final destination.
Wow.
That is not even though that step is the key to unlock that next step is the key to unlock the prison doors.
Right.
It is not the final destination, because there's another key on the other side to another door. I'm a pastor, so of course I'm going to go here. But aside from being a pastor, as just a Christian, as a disciple, man.
Yeah.
God, ask him to open up the paths. Ask him to open up doors that need to be open and close doors that need to be closed. That's a prayer that I always pray since college. That is a prayer that I always pray. Lord, open up the doors that need to be open and close the doors that need to be closed. That second part is an important part too. Sometimes we just pray to open the doors part.
Keep all the doors.
But we don't pray about the closing the doors.
Yeah.
So close the doors that need to be closed too, even if it hurts me. Close it.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
So know what change you want to happen. Just do it. And most importantly, seek God throughout all of this. Open the doors that need to be open and close the doors that need to be closed.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that, B. That was...
Yeah.
That's
fun.
That's a good testimony. And I think people are going to really resonate with that, especially, hearing about someone who came from one place and now they're a pastor. You don't necessarily hear stories like that from a pastor. You just assume that they grew up in a nice Christian home and they read the Bible all the time and they went to Christian schools and then ta-da, we're pastors. Like, so many pastors have really great stories that resonate with people, and I think more people need to hear stories like that. So thank you again for sharing your story. And is there a way for people to find you on social media? You have Instagram, right? And
yeah,
so they can find you, make sure I got this right, at BJ Banos. It's spelled Banos online. So BJBANOS. And then on Facebook, if anyone's on Facebook, you're just Brian with a Y. Brian J. Banos. Right?
Yep, that's it.
So, yeah, hit him up if you ever want to, reach out to him. If you have any further questions about his testimony, his journey, and, what he's gone through. And I highly encourage you guys to listen. Not just listen. I encourage you guys to sit down and think about, where you are in your life, and is it where you want to be? Is there anything that's getting in the way, and what do you want to do to move forward? Write down a list, maybe, if you're a visual person, or talk it out with someone that you really trust to really process what you want to do in life, and then go after those things. And like he said, asking God for clarity to open doors that need to be open, and closing doors that need to be shut, because we can't go through all the doors, right? But there's always an opportunity. It's just a matter of us looking out for them, seeing what they are, and having that having enough desire to change, and step forward. So, yeah, please send me, DM me, hit me up on Twitter. Let me know if you guys are in that process, if you want more topics like this about how to get out of these types of situations. We could totally do more. And just thank you guys for listening. And you guys do what you can to be your best self. I'm here for you. B's here for you. And you have family, you have friends, you have mentors around, sometimes in the least likely places, that could really encourage you to take that first paso. So I really hope that you guys keep taking those first pasos and take more pasos after that, so you can get to be the best person you could possibly be in this world. And people need to see that from you just as much as you need to see it from yourself. So until next time, you guys take care, and we will talk soon. Thank you so much again, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks again.